Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. One of my fellow viewers, subscribers, commented that I was going about dating and marriage in a very toxic way. And to be fair, I am, but I would prefer not to be. The truth is that society puts so many barriers toward being single. It almost feels like I'm treated like a second-class citizen. Let me give you a couple examples. You know, as a single guy, I often don't bring in enough money on my own to live on my own, so I shack up with roommates. And you might think roommates are just like somebody in a relationship, right? Minus the not really. Not really. Let me give you a couple examples. 3 years ago, I was renting a room in Levine Village, just outside of Phoenix, and was living in a house that was part of an HOA, so it was really nice. The problem is that the first day I got there, my toilet paper disappeared, my paper towels disappeared. It would be an insult because I'd be in the middle of cooking something. Oh, I spilled something on the floor. Oh, no paper towels, and I have to race back to Walmart to get some. I have food allergies, and so if somebody leaves a disaster in the sink, I can't use it. I got to go get some latex gloves so I can clean it up. I normally don't complain about that, though. I just go get latex gloves, clean it up. I try to be the bigger person. A lot of times when I do that, it kind of just enables that kind of behavior, though, so it's kind of weird. But the gloves would disappear. I confided in one of my roommates. He's a little bit younger than me. And when he heard that, you know, I've long since graduated from college, I'm working now, he kind of reminded me that I needed to hide my stuff in my room. And that's just really toxic behavior. That's dysfunctional, in my opinion. That's kind of like you're in a jail cell, right? Only jail cellmates would hide stuff from each other. Maybe not even, right? And it just feels dysfunctional. It feels like you're treated like second class, right? Meanwhile, other people who are in relationships and marriages, when was the last time you needed to hide toilet paper from your spouse? I mean, it's probably not. They're not going to be your spouse very long if you lived in a situation that required that, right? Maybe you might hide it from a kid who might misuse it in some way, right? Maybe, right? At best, right? Maybe you have things that are. Maybe dangerous if kids misuse it, maybe, right? But I was so upset by that. I went out to Target and I bought dozens and dozens of boxes of toilet paper, dozens and dozens of sets of silverware, and everything else that the roommates might want to decide to steal, because that was easier than dealing with the dysfunctional household. And I straight up wrote a note to all my roommates: please, let's try to live together. You know, we're not in jail. You know, the next day after I had written that note, all of the toilet paper and kitchen utensils that had gone missing the day before came flying back. And so that was one of my favorite stories of that. But unfortunately, 3 years later, I still deal with a lot of barriers for being single. So, for example, my grandmother passed away last month. And I had to book a flight here in a hurry, and I could afford it, but it was really stretching my budget. This was money that I had planned to use. I just started dating again, right, and among other things. And one day, my dad had the audacity to leave the apartment and not give me a set of keys, so I couldn't leave. And I was locked in the apartment, just cabin fever, and I was very upset when he came home. And we got into an argument, and I shouted something to the effect of, all because your stupid mother passed away. And he was obviously very upset by that remark. You know, I had told him I had planned to do this with the money, and now I got to go to this other. You know, I didn't have to work this other job that was so far away, all because your stupid mother passed away. I think I said something like that. He was so upset. He wanted to just rip me into pieces when I said that. But you see, had I had another set of hands, another income, you know, maybe I wouldn't have had to commute so far for my job next semester. And just feels like you're treated like second class, right? Meanwhile, and also even the scheduling a lot of times, right? I fill in for colleagues all the time so they can tend to their family. I've learned when I ask for time off to just say family without elaborating more. I've learned very few people will question it, right? It's kind of funny because my students are often giving me excuses that their grandparents are passing away, they have COVID and all that. And now that my grandmother passed away, I don't think anybody's going to believe me now. And but you get the idea, right? None of these things would destroy me, but they add a lot of friction, right? Hiding the utensils, that's not going to kill anybody, but that adds a lot of complexity to an already complex life, right? I don't know why. I even to this day, I still cannot find roommates that don't argue about or take supplies or kitchen utensils, and I'm still grappling with that to this day. I really feel that there's just too much of a barrier. Here in Taiwan, that would never happen. Or people accept living together. I'm staying in a hostel. You got people who are much older than me who have lived there long term, and they get along with their roommates, right? They would never squabble about toilet paper. I don't know why. They would never squabble about who cleans up what mess, right? They just work together, right? Only in the United States would we argue about every little detail, right? And we miss the big picture. We argue about the pennies and we miss the dollars, right? That's what it is, right? All this arguing about a kitchen utensil, and you might miss out on the chance to network with your roommates, and who knows, right? Maybe I guarantee this has happened a few times in American history. Probably not so in Taiwanese history. But somebody shares an apartment with somebody who would have been a good significant other, but they missed out on it because they argued about a few sheets